I think, Aiden, you might enjoy this book. It's called A Home for Bear. Once upon a time, in a land far, far away, was a place called Baobab. It was an unusual country because there were only 6 houses, and all of these 6 houses were on the branches of one single tree. The biggest house belonged to Wild Boar. Pheasant had a home at the very top of the tree. In between these two lived Frog, Beaver, and Chameleon. And in the tiniest house lived Mouse. All of them lived peacefully together in Baobab, and each had a special job. Beaver gathered wood to make a fire. Mouse and Wild Boar picked fruits and berries, from which Pheasant made delicious jams. Frog supervised and hopped from branch to branch, helping anybody who needed help. Chameleon could sit very still, watching all that was going on. When something happened, Chameleon changed color. In fine weather, he was bright blue. If there was a storm approaching, Chameleon went very dark. Gray meant bad news, and if Chameleon turned red, there was danger. One day, something strange happened. "Come here, everyone, quickly," called Beaver. "Why, what is it?" they all asked. "Look," said Beaver. They all looked up to the sky, and there sat Chameleon. He was purple. Chameleon had never been purple before. "What does it mean?" asked Frog. "What has happened to him?" squeaked Mouse. "Maybe he's ill," said Pheasant. "Don't worry," said Wild Boar. "Chameleon is fast asleep. Maybe he has eaten too many plums. Tomorrow he will be back to normal again." So the animals of Baobab went to sleep, feeling a little better. Pheasant was first to wake up the next day. Sleepily, he walked out of his house. But when he opened his eyes, he began to shout. "Help! Help!" he screamed so loudly that the others woke up at once. "What is that?" asked Pheasant in a shaky voice. They all looked down. At the bottom of the tree was an enormous creature they had never seen before. It was the reason Chameleon had turned purple. Nervously, Beaver took some berries and threw them down on the head of the strange animal. Plop, splat, plop. The huge animal opened one eye and looked around in surprise. "Who are you?" asked Frog. "And what are you doing here?" added Pheasant. The animal sat up. "I'm Bear, and I'm looking for somewhere to live." "Live," said Beaver. "Not here with us, surely." "There isn't enough space," agreed Pheasant. "Too big," squeaked Mouse. Wild Boar felt sad and said, "Bear is alone and looking for a home. We can't just send him away." "But where could he live?" asked Beaver. "Yes, where?" nodded Pheasant. "Too big," squeaked Mouse. Bear listened to them talking. Then he sighed. It was clear he was not welcome here. He stood up sadly and was about to leave when Frog said, "Wait, he looks like a nice bear. Maybe he could stay here and help us. There must be something he can do well." "What can a huge creature like that do?" asked Beaver. The animals all looked at Bear, waiting for him to speak. "Well," said Bear, "I'm very good at catching fish." Catching fish? They suddenly felt excited. Bear made his way to the stream. When he returned, he had caught enough fish to feed everyone for the whole winter. He was very hungry and invited Wild Boar, Beaver, Pheasant, Frog, Mouse, and Chameleon to enjoy a wonderful feast with him. "Three cheers for Bear! Hip, hip, hooray!" they all shouted. "How can we thank you?" Bear smiled. "Well, I am looking for a place to live. A house. That was it. A house for Bear. They all started building at once. Everyone helped in their own way. And that same evening, they all agreed that Bear had a very comfortable home indeed. And since then, there is 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, which means there are 7 animals living in Baobab. And that is just right. The end.